Hey, what's up everyone, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be covering Six Samurai, and this deck is extremely busted because if you can go first and you can set up your whole board, it is very hard for the opponent to pretty much do anything, and because you'll be able to negate spell and trap cards with your Shien, you'll be able to blanket negate all effect monsters, and with these two, like two of these plus one of these is pretty much a lock for most decks already because they cannot really get around it. The monsters will not have effects on the field, the monsters in hand can be negated with something like an Appaloosa if they try to activate it, so a lot of good stuff in this deck, but if you look at it, there are a lot of cards here and each of these have a lot of text on it, which makes it a little bit difficult, so I'm going to try and narrow this down as easy as possible so everyone can start playing this deck soon. I will also do a combo line at the end of the video so you know in which order you need to summon these monsters in the extra deck so that you can get as much value as possible. So to start off, I will start off with the main engine of the deck, and the main engine revolves around Secret Six Samurai Fuma. This is a tuner, but this has a cool effect. If it gets destroyed, you get to special summon a Six Samurai from your deck directly to the field. And the one that you want to special summon when you do this is Secret Six Samurai Kizaru, because when Kizaru enters the field, when he's special summoned, you can add one Six Samurai with a different attribute than the monsters on the field from the deck to the hand. And if you play your cards right, usually you can destroy the Fuma in your hand early on to get a Kizaru onto the field as a lone creature, which means that you can then add another Fuma from your deck to your hand, which you can then use for other destruction effects to get even more samurais online. So how do you destroy this card in order to special summon this one? Well, that's very simple. So first of all, we have diagram here. This one, you can ignore the whole wall of text there. Basically what you need to remember of this card is that you can destroy one card you control or in your hand. In this case, it's going to be the Fuma in the hand. And then you can search for one of these creatures over here from your deck and add them to the hand. So why do you want to add these creatures, you may ask? Well, because these creatures also have an effect that says you can destroy two other monsters in your hand or face up on the field. There's a lot of in your hand destruction going on here. So you get a very nice combo line, for example, that if you have your diagram, you can destroy your Fuma, special summon your Kizaru, add a Fuma, add a Mariamne, for example, then you can use the Mariamne's effect to destroy the Fuma and one other card in your hand, maybe a second copy of Fuma if you're lucky, because we do have a lot of ways to search this one directly from the deck. And then by destroying the second Fuma, you can go and special summon yourself a second copy of Kizaru. Again, you can put your third copy or a different Six Samurai from the deck straight into your hand. Personally, I like adding Kageki because this is kind of like a double summon in the deck, which I will get into soon. But by doing so, you can special summon these creatures onto the field. They are level 9 creatures, so if you have two level 9s, you can easily go into a rank 9 XYZ monster, which is really amazing. And you get all your special summons from your Fumas even before you do a single normal summon at all. Really busted stuff. Really powerful, I really like it, and that's why I run this worm engine in this deck instead of the bamboo build that you see most Six Samurai players use. One thing to keep in mind though is that each of these has an attribute, right? And when you destroy two other monsters in your hand, they need to share one attribute with the creature you're trying to special summon. So the worm you're trying to special summon needs to share an attribute. With the Mariamne, we run 3 of them because it's a wind monster, which means that with the Fuma, you always are good to go. You just destroy the Fuma and one other thing, doesn't matter what it is, and then you can special summon this one. But if you want to special summon these 3, you do need to make sure that you have an earth, water or fire thing in your hand already, or make sure that you can fetch it with your searchers. Otherwise you will not be able to special summon these, and then you cannot really go into your rank 9 easily. Another thing to remember, you can ignore pretty much all the other effects for now. You will learn this later when you're practicing with this deck. The only one that has a bit of an important effect is the True King Bahrastos, which has all the way at the bottom right here. It says, if this card is destroyed by a card effect, so it's fine if it's destroyed in the hand again. It's really the theme of this deck, destroy stuff in your own hand. You can special summon one non-water worm type monster from your deck in defense position. So in a perfect case scenario, you somehow have the Mariamne in hand, or you can fetch it with the diagram. You have a Fuma in hand and you have the Bahrastos in hand, and then what you want to do is activate your Mariamne, destroying the Fuma and the Bahrastos. Then you need to be a bit careful that you chain your things properly, so you want to put this as chain link 1, this one as chain link 2. And by doing so, this one will allow you to special summon a second copy of Mariamne directly from the deck because it's destroyed. And then when the Fuma enters the field, it will special summon the Kizaru. You will not be able to add a wind monster, another Fuma, because, well, there's another wind monster on the field already in the form of the Mariamne itself. But you will be able to add something like a Shinai or a Mizuho directly from the deck to the hand, which you can then use in a later turn. And by doing so, you can straight away use your 2 level 9 Mariamnes to go into a True King of All Calamities. This one has a once per turn quick effect that you can detach a material and declare one attribute. All face-up monsters become that attribute, which is useful for future Kizarus because you can simply select something like Light and then you can fetch anything from the deck at all times. But the good thing about this is, because this deck summons a lot, you do not want to get caught off guard by something like a Nibiru tributing all your creatures and then destroying your board. So if you remove a material from this and you select Light as the attribute, then you don't really have to worry about Nibiru ruining your day anymore, which is a good thing. So you have a very early on complete effect negation on the board. Fuma with the True King, with the Kizaru and the True King engine. Very good engine, gets you a lot of stuff on the field. But we have even more Six Samurai in here. So the second category I want to cover here are the what I call unconditional special summons, that is Kizan and Grandmaster. All these need to special summon themselves from the hand is a different Six Samurai monster on the field already that has a different name, so that's very easy to achieve. Like if you have the Kizaru on the field, you can already special summon these. And we have some other special summons in the form of Shinai and Mizuho. These have a nice combo effect. If either one of these is on the field, then you can special summon the other one. So if you can get one of these on the field with your normal summon, then you're pretty much good to go. Then you can special summon either of these. And there is a nice loop that I will showcase in the gameplay footage later. By continuously tributing and summoning these, you can get a bunch of Bushido counters on your Bushido cards, which I will get into soon. And that way you can pretty much continuously keep spamming the board with creatures to go into all your link monsters and stuff like that. It's all a lot of good stuff. So these special summon each other. These are unconditional special summons. They just need another Six Samurai on the board. And then this one, it when you normal special summon a secret Six Samurai monster, which is Fuma or Kizaru, you can special summon this one from your hand. And this is also a secret Six Samurai, so if you somehow have this one on the field, you can also special summon this one when you summon this. But Hatsume is another tech card in here. What this one does is you can banish 2 Six Samurai monsters from the field or graveyard to revive one of your other Six Samurai from your graveyard. So it's kind of like a mini Monster Reborn creature. It's mostly here because it's a water attribute creature. So we have some toolkit shenanigans going on. At the same time, we have a water monster in case we need to destroy with something like a Bahrastos. But it's a nice card to have. It helps you to go even wider in some cases. And then finally, we have one Six Samurai left to cover, which is Kageki. This is kind of like a double summon. When you normal summon this card, you can special summon one level 4 lower Six Samurai monster from your hand. If you have the chance, you probably want to get either a Shinai or Mizuho on the field so that you can special summon these unconditionally. But there's also a case that if you normal summon this one, and for example, if you don't have any other creatures in hand, you could potentially go into a Kizaru's special summon, which will let you add another 6 Samurai creature from your deck to your hand. You will not be able to add Earth or Wind creatures to your hand since these are Earth and Wind, but you will be able to add your Shinai Mizuho pieces. You can add a Hatsume from the deck to the hand, or even Legendary Secret of the Six Samurai, so you can special summon something in a later turn. Finally, we have the Bushido Counter Engine. This one, like each of these, they get a Bushido counter whenever a 6 Samurai enters the field. And in case of the Gateway of the 6, this one gets 2 counters. This one, you can forget the effect completely, just keep in mind that it adds Bushido counters. This one, you can add up to 2 Bushido counters, and if you send this one to the graveyard, you can draw a card for each Bushido counter on it, but you don't really use it for the draw, you use it as a Bushido counter storage, so to say. Shien's Dojo does have a nice effect that you can send this one to the graveyard. You can special summon 1 6 Samurai or Shien effect monster from your main deck, whose level is equal or less than the number of Bushido counters on it. So if you have 1 Bushido counter on this thing, you can actually send to the graveyard to get a Fuma directly from the deck onto the field. That's especially useful if you don't have the Fuma in the opening hand, even with your searches, so you can still get your True King Engine going as well. And Gateway of the 6, this one gets 2 Bushido counters, but it has a very cool effect that says you can remove Bushido counters from your field, from any of these cards actually, in order to activate one of its effects. You can ignore the first effect, you can also ignore the third effect. The one that's important here is the 4 counter one, which says that you remove 4 counters from stuff in the field, and you can add 1 6 Samurai monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. The ones that you want to add to your hand, of course, are the ones that can special summon themselves on the field. So if you have a Shinai or a Mizuho on the field already, you can fetch those. But you can also fetch your Kizan or your Grandmaster, and then you can start some real special summoning shenanigans. Because all you need is a gateway and maybe 2 other things that can generate Bushido counters, and then you can pretty much keep on summoning your 6 Samurai endlessly without losing any Bushido counters at all. And then there is that special loop that I was talking about, because Shinai has an effect that if it's tributed, you can add 1 6 Samurai from your graveyard to your hand. And this one has an effect that lets you tribute a monster to target one monster on the field and destroy that target. So you can kind of guess what's going on here, right? Like you have Gateway on the field, maybe 1 other Bushido counter generator. You already have a Shinai on the field, you get a second one and a Mizuho. You special summon both of these on the field. That will generate at least 6 Bushido counters, because this one gets 2 for each. This one gets 1 for each, so that's 6 counters. And then with the Mizuho, you can tribute the Shinai in order to then target something on the field and destroy it. What you want to destroy is the Mizuho itself. May sound strange, but bear with me a second. So you destroy the Mizuho, both of these will go to the graveyard at the same time. Shinai will let you add the Mizuho back to the hand. And since you have another Shinai on the field already, you can then special summon your Mizuho back onto the field, which generates another 3 Bushido counters. You then go ahead and remove 4 of them to add your second copy of Shinai back to the hand. You special summon that one, which generates another 3 Bushido counters. So every time you do that loop, that you tribute the Shinai, add this one back to the hand, add this one back to the hand with your gateway, and then special summon both of them back to the field, you are having a net gain of 2 Bushido counters. So if you do this around 10 times in a loop, it takes some time, but then you have plenty of Bushido counters to pretty much keep on summoning until your entire field is built up. And that's the way to go. We also have a Shien Squire in here. This is pretty much, you can ignore the effect completely. This is just in another level 1 tuner, just in case you run out of Fumas in the main deck. You have another one that you can potentially special summon from the deck with something like a Isolde. First monster you want to link summon into is Isolde, Two Tails of the Noble Knights. So when this one is link summon, you can add 1 warrior monster from your deck to your hand. Personally, I tend to usually just add Kageki, because once this one is on the field, I usually don't really want to summon this one anymore anyways. but you could potentially add the Hatsume as well in case you do plan to play a Kageki this turn, since Hatsume is not gonna be doing a whole lot in the first turn anyways. So you add a monster to your hand, and why you need to get Kageki Hatsume is because you cannot normal or special summon that monster this turn anymore, which is a bit of a downside, but you need that monster in your hand for a future link summon, which I'll get into soon. Then it has a very cool effect that you can send any number of equipped spells with different names from your deck to the graveyard to special summon one warrior monster from your deck whose level equals the number of cards that you send to the graveyard. We only have one equipped spell in the deck, so sometimes we get a bit janked out that we end up drawing into this one and then we cannot go into Isolde. That's a bit bad, but it's a one-off, so you just need to hope that you don't draw into it, I guess. But there are ways to get it back into the deck with the Sayuja, which I will get into later, so you can just summon this one at a later time and still get the value of that. So it's not a really big deal if you do draw into it, but it makes it hard to build up a proper board state. So you send this one to the graveyard, you can then summon a level 1 monster from the deck, so either the Squire or the Fuma. Personally, I tend to just go for the Fuma because then I have another target I can potentially destroy with one of my worm monsters. And then when the Fuma is on the field, you basically have a Six Samurai in the field, which allows you to go into your other special summons if needed. And what I personally like to do is that with Isolde I get the Fuma on the field. If I have a Kizan in hand, I special summon this one. Then I use the Kizan and the Isolde to go into the Battle Shogun, and this one needs 2 warrior monsters including a Six Samurai. Isolde is a warrior and Kizan is a Six Samurai. And then it says you can discard 1 card and add 1 card from your deck to your hand that has an effect that places Bushido counter. So the card you want to go for is Gateway of the Six. If you already have Gateway of the Six, you can go for a Shien's Dojo instead. And the card that you want to discard is either the Kageki or the Hatsume that you've added with the Isolde, because that way you have the most value in general. You put your Gateway down onto the field. This one also gets a Bushido counter every time a Six Samurai is special summoned to a arrow it points at, so you kind of want to place your monsters in such a way that you always have those zones open. And then with your Gateway, 1 other Bushido counter card and your Battle Shogun, you can pretty much go infinite already, because you can keep on fetching your Kizans and your Grandmasters from the deck in order to special summon those onto the field. The way that you start is you special summon 2 Kizans to both zones that this one points to. Then you use those to overlay into a Shadow of the Six Samurai to have another name on the field. You detach 1 material, buff your Battle Shogun in order to get some more Kizans into the graveyard. You can fetch another Kizan from your graveyard, special summon that one onto the field as well. And then finally you fetch yourself a Grandmaster, you special summon that one too. And then you have 4 named creatures on the field: Battle Shogun, Grandmaster, Kizan, and the Shadow of the Six Samurai, which then allows you to go into a Sajuja's called Dread, which has a very cool effect that says once per turn during your main phase you can special summon 1 monster from your hand, which is basically like another normal summon in this case, that you can summon something like a tuner or another card that cannot really special summon itself on the field at that time. And this other effect down here which says when this card is link summoned with 4 creatures, you can draw 4 cards and then place 3 cards from your hand on the bottom of the deck. So this is very good to really fix your hand. You can potentially put the Moon Mirror Shield back into your deck, and you can potentially just keep on going off by summoning even more dragons. But that's the main combo line you want to go for. Once you have this online and you have your Gateway of the Six online, you can go into your Mizuho Shinai combo by special summoning one of these with the Sayuja, and then you're pretty much set from there. You can keep on building your board state. But the creatures you want to go into as soon as possible is you want to try to get 2 level 9s on the field. You can do that by either using your tuner and like 8 levels worth of other monsters in order to go into your Ravenous Crocodile Dragon. And this one, when you synchro summon it, you get to draw 2 cards because you will use 2 other monsters, which is very nice. So it's a draw 2, which is a level 9, and then with one Worm Monster, with the Croco and the Croco Dragon and the Worm Monster from your deck, you can very easily go into True King of all calamities, which is again your blanket effect negation. And once you have the Saryuja and the True King on the field, you can start building your board towards getting stuff like a legendary Six Samurai Shien onto the field. If you are missing a tuner, you can always sacrifice one of your Shien's dojos in order to fetch one from the deck, but do make sure that you have enough Bushido counters on your Gateway of the Six. So do a bit of Shinai and Mizuho looping to get as many counters on here. So you want to get 1 or 2 Shiens onto the field, because by having these on the field, you can negate a spell or trap effect. So you want these as your, basically these are your board destruction protection. So you don't want to activate this unless they play something like a Dark Hole or a Raigeki or a Torrential Tribute, but these can help to protect your board. The True King of all calamities will make sure that none of their monsters can activate their effects on the field, which pretty much cripples a lot of decks out there, like Sky Strikers is cripples, Tri-Brigade is crippled, Eldritch is crippled, a lot of stuff gets crippled by an effect like this. So with Shien and this one, you can protect yourself pretty well. If you can get 2 of these on the field, it's even better. You could potentially go into a Shien early on and then revive it with a Hatsume or something like that. That's a nice combo line. But getting these 2 online is the most important. And then secondly, if you have even more level 9s, that you have the materials available to get even more level 9s on the field, I would suggest you could potentially go into, like, you detach one material with the True King, right? So you have a level 9 in the graveyard. Then you could go into a Cloud Castle, and this one lets you special summon that card that you've sent to the graveyard, so that you can then go into a Phantom Fortress, which has a bunch of cool detachment effects. Like the one that I personally like is this one right here. Like you detach a material and then you can banish one random card from your opponent's hand. If you go first, that is especially useful because they will pretty much be starting with 4 cards in hand. For many decks, that is kind of a deck killer right there because they need their whole hand. So a very strong setup, very strong combo potential, and you can even get something like a Appaloosa on the field if you want to, so that you can negate even more monster effects, and usually you want to negate stuff that is triggered in the hand that you're not really covering with your True King of all calamities. Super good deck, a lot of combo potential, and it can kind of get itself through a bunch of hand traps as well. We have plenty of ways to fetch the pieces we need directly from the deck, and we have the diagram as well, which we can fetch with the terraforming. Really nice deck, I had a lot of fun with this. Since the video is over 20 minutes already, I will move the gameplay footage to a second video, just so we don't have a 1 hour long video. I think with the explanation I've given so far, you should be able to start practicing with this deck already. But feel free to hop over on my channel. I will also link the video down in the comments once it's done, where I will go over all the combos so that you can just go along with me and learn step by step how I do things and in what order I play things, so that you can start playing this deck at its full potential. There's also a gameplay video on the channel already that I uploaded a few days ago, where I showcased the full power of this deck. So if you're a bit curious, wondering what this deck can do, you can go and watch that video already as well. And yeah, let's get into this. Let's go have some fun in the next video.